Thursday, December 10th, 2015. A special meeting of the Arizona Racing Commission is taking place at 1110 West Washington, Suite 250, Phoenix, Arizona.
No, we're good.
I'd like to call this meeting to order, the special meeting of the Arizona Department of Gaming's Racing Division. And before we get started, the chair would like to recognize Bill Rice because this meeting may take a little while. And Bill, you have an announcement you'd like to make? Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission, Mr. Director, for the record, I'm Bill Rice with the Arizona Greyhound Association. Dan Luciano is retiring at the end of this month. He's been here 23 years. I would like to recognize him for all the work he's done with the American Greyhound Council, Greyhound Pets of America, actually forming and funding the Arizona Adoption Program for greyhounds. And I think he deserves a little bit of recognition for it. And I would like to say thank you. Unfortunately, he's late getting here. He was here earlier. He thought it was 10.
No.
But anyway, I'd just like to let you guys know he is leaving. Ed Bunger, very capable of taking his position. General Manager at Apache Ground Park will be taking over. But we're still going to miss Dan.
Yeah. Thanks, Bill. And, you know, Dan is a great guy, and we're definitely going to miss him. So I know Rory's worked with him a lot more than I have, but the experience I've had has been great.
At one time, Commissioner Gree was the president of Greyhound Pets of America.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. All right. So today we have a consent agenda, item B. So Camila is going to tell those of us who don't know what a consent agenda is, what it is.
Okay. Excuse me, may we do roll call first?
Oh, yes, please do roll call.
Thank you. Mr. Heupel?
Present.
Mr. Feldmeyer?
Here.
Mr. Lawless?
Here.
Mr. Garay?
Here.
Mr. McClintock?
Here.
Everyone's present. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Can you tell, am I the only one that's on telephonic?
No, you, Heupel, and Goray.
Okay. All right. Well, then the next question is, actually, I have 1 hour. That's it. I might be able to go a little bit past that, but after an hour, I've got to head out.
All right, you've got more time than Heupel. Rory, how long can you stay?
Till my battery dies.
Okay, that's perfect. We'll try to not make it last that long. Hopefully you've got one of those extended life batteries. So anyway, let's see if we can get some idea what a consent agenda is.
When you have items on a consent agenda, you can approve the entire consent agenda as is. So you could say a motion to approve items 1 and 2 on the consent agenda, and you don't discuss it. If you need to discuss anything, any of the commissioners can pull it, and then it's up for discussion. And well, there's only 2 items on the consent agenda, so you could approve the other one. But if you are looking at the agenda items and the dates do not work, then we need to pull it out of the consent agenda and have it for discussion. So.
Sounds like the dates aren't going to work. So,
Okay.
So we should read them individually, right?
Yeah. So you could. Yeah, you could. You move to pull items 1 and 2 out of the consent agenda.
Well.
Mr. Chairman, I would move to pull those out of consent and discuss.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. I guess we'll do a roll call vote.
Correct. Mr. Heupel?
Aye.
Mr. Feldmeyer?
Yes.
Mr. Lawless?
Yes.
Mr. Garay?
Yes.
And Mr. McClintock?
Yes.
5 ayes.
So
Should I release the date?
Yes, absolutely.
Number one, all looks fine except for, I'm going to be out of the country on March 3rd. So we could do it either late February or after the 6th.
Okay. It's up to staff finding the availability of the conference room and working with all of our schedules, so.
Okay, this is Cassie Goodwin. In looking at the scheduling availability of this conference room in anticipation of a March hearing date, well, I did check in February. They did not have anything open in February. They did have March 3rd and 4th. I booked the room for the 3rd and the 4th, so you're going to be out of the country both those days?
Yeah, yes.
Okay. All right, so we're going to have to then recontact the landlord and see what the availability is.
Okay, thank you.
So, Mr. Chairman, I think I've got a similar problem. I cleared everything so that we would be doing this as we had earlier discussed in January. So now I find out you want to delay things into February and then again into March. I got chaos.
Well, it's come to our attention that Mr. Grossman's broken his leg. I wonder if Ms. Harrison could address what's going on, and maybe they could do it without Mr. Grossman.
Well, what's the reason we need to push it back?
Because
That's
Mr.
what-
Grossman fractured his femur in 2 places, and
Okay,
he's,
all right. I didn't see or understand any of that earlier.
okay,
Commissioners,
please.
yeah, Mr. Grossman is in the hospital.
I'm
He-
sorry, please identify
I'm
yourself.
sorry, this is Stacy Harrison on behalf of Ron Sims. Mr. Grossman is in the hospital. He fractured his femur actually in 2 places and shattered his hip. He is not expected to be out of the hospital for the next few weeks. He's actually currently in a trauma rehab center. And then after that, he'll go home with a 24-hour nurse for rehabilitation, probably for the next month or so after that. So we don't even expect him back in the office until late February, early March, and he will not be able to travel until March. He has been the lead counsel in these proceedings before the administrative law judge and here before the commission. So we requested a continuance of the dates of both the briefing and the hearing dates. Based upon that request, the Jerry Sims parties asked if we would continue dates in the Superior Court relating to the special action in which we are seeking relief from the court to stay these proceedings. We agreed to that request. They agreed to stipulate to at least a 30-day continuance of the hearing and the briefing schedule as a result of that. So, and then we heard later that the earliest available hearing date was March 3rd. When we spoke with the judge in the court on Monday, we informed him of all of this. He moved the dates, and actually we don't even have a hearing date on our motion in court until January 12th. He, and on the phone, Jerry Sims' counsel stated that they would not object to having the hearing held at a later date beyond February, if indeed that's what the commission could accommodate. So that's the situation. And I think that the briefing schedule that Ms. Alarcon proposed relates directly to what the court ordered on Monday. So that's why the dates are where they are. If we can't do March 3rd, I respectfully request that we do a date later in March when the commissioners are available and when a quorum is available, and we keep the same briefing schedule, or if the commission is so inclined, extend the briefing schedule to meet the new hearing date.
Thank you. Did you guys hear that on the telephone?
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, are there any problems with moving it to a later date? Here comes Mr. Manning.
Mike Manning on behalf of the TP Racing Parties. First of all, we have expressed our concern to Ron's counsel on his accident, and we believe a reasonable accommodation to Mr. Grossman is perfectly appropriate. Slight inaccuracy in what you heard from Ron's counsel a moment ago. We agreed to a 30-day extension, not an at least 30-day extension. that would take it to February 11th. We certainly are okay with March 3rd. We don't want to go too much deeper into March if we don't have to. Doesn't sound like we have a space available for late February. But the TP racing parties would like to see it not too deep into February if we can manage that. Any questions for TP racing?
Not us. Anybody telephonically have any questions for Mr. Manning? Sounds like
Not here.
crickets. Okay. All right, yeah.
I move that we approve the continuance of the hearing.
Commissioner Wallace, before you do that, we have a chance to just go ahead and find a date now to see when the meeting is reserved.
This is Cassie. Since I have all of you here right now, can you please tell me what dates you are not available in March? Because I know that this room is not available in February. March 3rd and 4th are the earliest dates. And I am going to go downstairs to the landlord, and hopefully somebody will be there that can tell me what the availability is, and we can just go ahead and schedule it now. So, what days are you not available? Council as well, please.
The 1st of March through the 6th.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Lawless, Mr. McClintock?
As far as I know, I'm available the whole month.
Mr. Goray, please. Are you?
I should be available.
Okay, Mr. Feldmeyer?
Well, you know what, I'd like to commit to the 10th, because we already have that down for a regular meeting, but I can't. I moved all kinds of things around to come up with February, and I can't instantly respond to that. I wish I could help, but I can't.
Okay, Mr. Heupel?
I don't have my schedule with me, but I'm pretty sure that the following week would be fine after Mr. Wallace's trip.
Okay.
That was after the 5th or 6th.
Okay, I will do my best to accommodate the following week. However, I do not have control on scheduling this room. And so that's why I'm asking it broadly, so that it will give me an opportunity to work with the people that have currently scheduled this room. Normally, it's not available Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, because that's when a lot of boards and commissions have their meetings here. I can work at getting it on a Monday or a Friday. Pretty positive on those dates. So, Mr. Manning, what are your availabilities?
I've got an answer to that question, Cassie, and then also a suggestion. The only days that I cannot change something in March would be the 16th, 17th, and 18th. But I also wanted to suggest perhaps a different room, unless there's something important about having it here. I know there's perhaps an expense, but if the parties could work together and find a place that doesn't charge for a meeting like this, my suggestion is we do it that week after Mr. Wallace is back and find a room for it. I think it's important enough that we should do that, as opposed to being sort of hostage to the landlord. So, here's a suggestion.
I will see what we can do.
And I wonder, if we have a regularly scheduled meeting on the 10th, would it be possible to abandon that meeting and have the hearing on the 10th?
Mr. Casillas, would you like to answer? I mean, I don't know what items are coming up that need to be addressed that are racing issues, and that's what that date was set for. And the last time when we had the initial appeal hearing, it took the whole day. And so my concern is trying to accommodate, I don't know how long this hearing itself will take, and to also manage to handle any racing issues that have come up from February meeting into the March meeting. So I can't answer that.
Excuse me, at the last hearing, I think the commission either decided or suggested that each side would have an hour oral presentation. You're going to have stacks of paper, so anything the parties have to say to you, the commission will have been said in the papers, but an hour for each side to answer your questions or to focus on certain points is what I think you decided the last time.
Right.
Well, how about,
Can we allow Ms. Harris a chance to?
If appropriate, we're willing to offer one of our law firms in Arizona for the hearing if we need a conference room, and that's something that can be done. For my availability, I actually am on jury duty the week of March 21st.
No, fun.
So, which I continued because of everything that happened in the last couple of weeks. So I probably can continue it again, but I wanted to make everyone aware of that.
All right.
well, maybe Chairman McClintock's idea is a good one. We schedule the hearing, since we could probably get it in the time frame of a regular meeting on the 10th, and then we'll reschedule the soonest after that in March for the March meeting.
I'm not opposed to that.
You could begin at 9 too.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Since
then,
I assume you have the room before.
yes, we do. Yes, we do. So if everybody is okay with the 10th of March, council, would you guys be? Okay. And I understand you guys, gentlemen on the telephone, did you understand that we're looking at going ahead and scheduling this hearing on the 10th of March, and which is the regular Racing Commission meeting date, and then we'll move that regular meeting to another date in March if there's a need to have that meeting, but we will hold the
Yep.
hearing on the 10th.
That works for Heiko.
You need a motion.
This is Feldmeyer. I think that makes sense. I just can't commit to it yet. But I think that's what we ought to go with.
Okay. Camila, do we need a motion to?
We might as well. So if we have the briefing dates mirror what was before, and we just move everything down a week, February 4th for the opening, February 18th for the response, and February 25th for the reply, and that will give you 2 weeks to review the briefs.
What's the first date, the opening?
February 4th.
February 4th. And if there's
Stacey Harrison again. We're actually fine with keeping the current briefing schedule because I'm actually out of town the week of the February 15th, so
Okay.
the current briefing schedule works better for us.
Are you okay with it, Mr. Manning?
We are, if that helps things, we are.
Okay.
Good. Okay.
Can I combine 1 and 2 in the same motions?
It's just scheduling things.
Yeah.
right?
Okay, I move we approve the continuance of the commission hearing until 9 o'clock, March 10th, 2016, with the same briefing schedule as previously set forth in agenda item 2.
I'll second it.
And that was who, I'm sorry, who
That was-
seconded that?
Heiko.
Thank
will
you.
second it.
Thank you.
All right, it's been moved and seconded, and Vicki will call the roll.
Mr. Heupel,
Yes.
Mr. Feldmeyer,
Yes?
Mr. Lawless,
Yes.
Mr. Garay,
Yes.
and Mr. McClintock.
Yes.
5 ayes, motion passes.
Okay. I see Dan Luciano's here. Dan, we've already, Bill told us that you're retiring, and I want to say congratulations. We're going to miss you. And I'll miss you all. Thanks for all your service. Bill kind of went into your biography a little bit. Very nice 23-year career. A lot of things got accomplished. And, we're proud of you, and we've enjoyed knowing you. So, thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes,
And
sir.
I'd just like to add a little something there. This is Commissioner Garay. Dan, I really appreciate everything you've done for the Greyhounds. And as many know, I started off in the adoption side. And thanks to Dan, we've accomplished a lot over the years. And a lot of amazing things have been done. Thanks a lot to Dan. And it is greatly appreciated by everyone involved in Greyhound adoption.
All right, I guess the next thing is that we need to go into executive session and discuss some items that have come up since the last meeting.
We'll go,
Is there any discussion?
we'll do one by one.
Okay.
We'll go into executive session first on C1.
Is there any discussion on this matter? Anybody in the public want to say?
Chairman McClintock?
Yes.
Mr. Heupel? Is there any other business? I noticed there's one other item, regulatory wagering assessment report. Is someone there to give that, and if that's brief? Could we deal with that now and then wait?
That's fine with me. How about you guys ready to give me a report?
Yeah.
Okay, we don't need a motion to do that, right? Let's just go to item D, the regulatory wagering assessment report. Hear that.
I am Lori Anderson, and I am the comptroller for the racing division of the Department of Gaming. And I'm here to go ahead and discuss the RWA and the financial outlook of the department. In front of you, you have the top line is the revenues. You can see the revenues of the department from FY13 through 15 are actuals. FY16 is an estimate. The 16 is based upon last year's handle, and the RWA amounts have been adjusted to reflect the the 0.60. So as you can see, from FY13 to FY16, we're projecting a loss of $739,000 to the department. We have last year only brought in $2.6 million, and I know it kind of sounds like a lot, but we are on a budget base of 2.9. So as we look at the next section for the financial scenarios, as we know, there's been a great deal of legal fees coming through that the department had to absorb. If risk management continues to pay the legal fees that we're incurring, we will be out of spending authority at the end of the fiscal year, and we will be out of money in September. Therefore, we will not have the money to operate. If risk management does not pay, we will be out of spending authority in April of this year, and we will not be allowed to operate. We will also be out of cash in May, but the point of having no cash in May is irrelevant when we can't spend it anyway. So, we really need the RWA increase to 1%. That will buy us an extra $600,000 projected, as long as revenues do not decrease like they have over the past 3 years. That will get us through operation through till the next racing season. If we have nobody here to regulate, we can't race anywhere.
Well, due to the fact that we don't have any horsemen representatives here, it's kind of hard to make a decision today without their opinion.
Right.
This is nothing more than information.
Okay.
Yes.
Jerry Sims. Just have a question.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask a question real quick?
Sure.
I'm a little lost. I'm looking at the amended agenda. Where's that on the amended agenda?
On the back page, page 2.
It's double-sided, Bill.
Excuse me, this is Cassie Goodwin. Mr. Feldmeyer and Gray and Mr. Heupel, the document that Ms. Anderson was referring to was provided to us this morning, and we apologize it is not in your hands now. We passed it out to the commission members here, and we will email it to you as soon as the meeting is over so that you will have it to look at. And the audio of this meeting will be on the website within 2 to 3 days, so that way you can listen to that as well if you need to go back and try and put things together. You can certainly give us a call and we can go over it with you.
Well, that's all fine. That works after the fact, but I'm not gonna make a decision and then review the information later.
No, we're not going to make a decision today, Bill.
This is an information report only. It's not a new business, and so it's not agendized to have any action taken. We are just simply informing you as the commission members and anybody here at the meeting what the RWA situation is.
So then you would expect a decision for this at the next regular meeting in January?
I don't know when to expect a decision on it. That is something that we will address at a later point. Right now, we are just giving an information report.
Mr. Sims has something to say, so this may help clear things up.
I don't know, I'd just like to understand, risk management, to the extent they're paying the legal fees, correct, as of now?
As of now, they're paying them. They do not, they've told us they're probably not going to pay them after the first of the year.
Okay, let me see if I can understand.
Okay.
Your budget you're working on is $2.9 million.
Right. We have spending authority for $2.8 million.
Okay. And that 2.8 doesn't include any legal fees?
Correct.
Didn't project any legal fees?
We budgeted, no, I budgeted in $300,000, which we've already ate up.
Okay. So risk management didn't pay that $300,000?
No, we paid most of it. Risk management gave us $300,000 last year, and we paid last year's bills $280-some thousand. It took away our appropriation is the issue, which is our spending authority. So risk management did reimburse us the cash for it, yes. The problem is spending authority. The first half of the about $200,000 of bills we paid out of our own pocket, and then risk management gave us $300,000 at the end of the last fiscal year.
So you were plus $100,000?
No, we were not plus $100,000. I adjusted last year we brought in $2.6 million, which is adjusted from the $300,000 the risk management gave us. So if you actually look in our annual reports, it's $3 million it looks like we made. We did not. We made 2.6.
Mine's a different question.
Mm-hmm.
Leaving aside the litigation, your budget is, I think you said $2.9 million.
Correct.
So why is it because, let's see if I understand, you're saying that racing didn't produce enough revenue?
Correct.
And that's why you have a shortfall?
Yes, on top of the litigation, yes.
Not counting the litigation. The budget that you have,
Yes.
your amount of money that racing brought in was $2.6 million.
We have to account for the litigation because it is a cost.
I want to do it in pieces.
Okay.
When it gets all thrown together, I can't follow it.
Okay, no problem.
Everybody else can. Your budget to operate is $2.9 million.
2.8, yes.
2.8?
Yes, because it's adjusted for healthcare costs that GAO does that to us, yes.
So your budget's 2.8?
Yes, 2.89.
2.89?
Yes.
And the amount that was brought in from the RWA was 2.6.
Correct.
So you were short
$379,000.
2.6 to 2.8 is 200.
200,000, sorry. I was looking at the unit here, sorry.
So around 200,000 you were short.
Yes.
Now at .6, the RWA brought in how much?
At 0.6, the RWA, last year it was mostly 0.6, all except for at April 21st, we switched to 0.85. So based on that, we brought in 0.6. I don't have the exact number.
No, that's all right. I'm trying to understand something.
Yes.
If you'd been at 0.6 all year,
Yes.
how much would can you calculate how much you would have brought in for the RWA fee?
Not on top of my head in millions of dollars, no.
How about the projected 2016.
The
Is
2016
that at .6?
is yes, it is at all at 0.6.
Could I see that sheet of paper? I didn't see it.
2.3261795.
Yep.
Where is it looking? Where is it?
Right here.
Oh, and this 2.3
3.
represents what?
That is the estimated revenue that the department will bring in.
Yeah.
Based upon last year, we were down 7%. 7.7% we fell from 14 to 15.
Okay. Has there been any adjustments to your operating expenses on an ongoing basis?
Reduction of them is what you're implying? Is it?
I'm asking.
That's what you're implying?
Is
Yes,
there a
we
reduction?
we have cut lots of costs. We have cut them to where we can barely.
I understand, but give me the amount of money that you've cut, because that would be out of what you were operating this year, right? I would like to know about cuts from this past budget.
I don't have those off the top of my head.
That's an important number.
It is an important number, and we're talking in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. Last fiscal year, the department was ranging about $300,000 a month in expenses. We are down to $220,000.
So you had an 80,000 a month cut?
Yes.
So 80,000 times 12 months is 960,000?
Okay.
I mean, just a simple math. Well, 80,000 a month is what you're saying.
Yes.
So that's just short of $1 million.
Yes.
Yeah, we're going to have to cut this kind of short. I mean, we need to know what the projected budget is for 2016 from a dollar standpoint. We can kind of work backwards.
The projected budget we have is $2.89 million, okay? The problem is we only project to bring in $2.3 million in revenue. We have used up $191,000 of our appropriation, which is our spending authority. And also our, risk management did pay for the $191,000, but it eats up our spending authority.
Yeah, no, I see that, and I see Mr. Sims' point.
Right.
0.6, you're going to raise 2.326 million, so at 1 point, you're going to raise another 80%. So that puts you at 4 million.
This is the issue. We can make it through the fiscal year, assuming.
Let's get to a conclusion. Let's
Okay.
deal with these, just so I can follow.
Sure.
That would get you to about $4 million. You're saying, if I understand it right, there's been an 80,000 a month cut.
What would get us to $4 million?
If you go to 1% for the whole year, the RWA, if 6.6% gets you to 2.3 million, you get an 80% bump by going to 1%.
No, that is the right, but we estimate the bump would be $600,000 because at the bottom, if you look, we made 1.2 at 0.6. We're only going to get additional $600,000.
It's through September.
Through September, we are trying to get the department through to the next, to the next racing year.
Well, obviously, we need the department to race, and we need more information.
And I
we
would be
need to come
glad,
up.
we need to
definitely,
understand.
yes.
We need to come
Yes.
up with a plan. We need to know exactly how much money you guys are going to need and exactly what percentage.
Well, I have
I know.
estimates.
I know you do.
And
And
at
I know
the
this.
rate we are spending, we will spend to the 2.9 million because we had a slight buffer in the beginning of the year because the RWA was higher.
Right.
Now that we've decreased it to 0.60, every day we lose that buffer because of spending, even with the reduction of our costs.
But just so I understand, just so I walk away understanding, are you saying that the costs from last year, with the reductions that you've made, you're down about 80,000 a month?
On average,
That's fine.
yes.
I mean, that's a big
Yes.
piece of it.
There is, but $80,000, if we sit down and discuss the full budget, is not a lot of money. I mean, it's a ton of money for the $2.9 million that
It's
we
a
have.
third. It's a third of your budget.
You're right, but we have over $100,000 in employee costs to regulate. Without those employees,
No,
we
I
can't do
understand,
that.
but
Yes.
but we don't want to count that twice. What I'm saying is, in your amount of 2.8 million,
Yes.
if you cut 80,000 a month, that's about $1 million. That's over 30%.
And because we cut over $1 million, because the previous years, racing always had a pot of about $1.3 million going into the next year.
A reserve, so are you
A
trying?
reserve, but the reserve is gone.
Are you trying to reestablish a reserve?
Yes, well, no, not to reestablish a reserve for keeping it. We need to have enough in reserves to make it through to the next.
I guess we just need to see a total. And maybe you might look with the cuts that have been made. Is there some way to take that projection of 1% that you feel you need, and maybe if we went back to something between the 0.6 and the 1 point, that would work? Since you've made those cuts, maybe there's a place in between. That would be.
Mr. Chairman, I can't hear who's speaking, but I can't hear.
Well, I think it'd be nice to see before we're going to consider anything,
Right.
the proposed budget and all the numbers
Definitely,
that
yes.
you're relying on. So,
Right, so.
with that, I'd
With the paper is informational to show you that the revenues have gone down year by year. We
Right.
base our spending authority on the amount of revenue we bring in. Therefore, when we have, extra costs, every year we have increasing costs, we have cut many, yes. And Rudy has done a fabulous job about, right-sizing the agency as far as our spending, our expenditures. But the problem is that revenue reduces 7% every year. So it's catching up.
We get that.
Yes.
And, we appreciate the information, and we know, obviously, you need more than 0.6%.
Yes.
The question is, how much more? And we need to do some,
Definitely.
we can figure that out.
This was just informational to show you that, based on our calculations, that would
You're
give
not
us an
gonna have enough
extra.
money.
Well, we know we're not going to have enough money.
Right.
And if risk management does not pick up the bills, it's a whole other, issue. But we're looking at that $600,000 would get us through to October of next fiscal year. Because
Okay.
we're going into the new year with no money.
Just one more point. You have another basket of revenue, I think.
No.
Let me ask the question. From licensing?
This includes
Dark day?
licensing.
Oh, it includes licensing?
Yeah, and Dark Days was only, it was like, what, $2,500 for AGP and,
I don't know what it is.
yeah, it's about $30,000 for turf. It is revenue, yes.
Doesn't Phoenix
It-
Greyhound pay Dark Day?
No. Apache Greyhound and Turf Paradise pays. Yes, AGP and Turf pay Dark Days, that's it.
And licensing?
And everybody pays licensing, yes. But the 2.3 million includes licensing.
Okay,
Yes.
let's move on, because thank you very much for your report, and I feel like, we know what the problem is, now we need to
Further
figure out the
discussion, yes.
solution. Yeah, so we'll all work together on that, we need Mr. Yother and Mr. Metzen here because they pay half of it, I think. All right, so I think the next thing we need to do is go to executive session and find out how we can defend ourselves.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, Directors, if there's not going to be a
Excuse
public
me,
session...
please identify yourself.
I'm sorry,
Thank
Kathy.
you.
Mike Penny, on behalf of TV Racing. If there's not going to be a public session after your executive session, we can stem some of the attorney's fees we've been talking about by withdrawing. So I don't know whether you can advise us on that or not.
I don't anticipate.
Okay,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I need to interrupt. We need to take a break a minute. I just got a text message from Commissioner Gorey. Is anybody online? He said they just lost us, so I don't know what happened, but it doesn't sound like anybody's online either, so we need to reestablish that because we don't have a quorum.
Okay.
And he's saying the three of them can hear each other, but they can't hear what's going on here now. Okay, so I'm going to reestablish the line.
Hello, can anyone hear me?
apologies. Technical difficulties always, you know.
Welcome to CenturyLink Conferencing. Please enter your passcode followed by the pound or hash key, and I'll connect you. Please hold while I confirm your passcode. Thank you. Your passcode is confirmed. When you hear the tone, you will be the fourth person to join the meeting.
Hello, everybody. Who is still on the line?
Hi, Mr. Murray.
Okay.
Okay.
Bill March here.
Good.
All right.
All right, welcome back, guys. Were you guys gone for a minute?
11:40.
We already voted to adjourn.
Right, no, and you guys have a forum. That's right. All right, see you next month. So now that you're here, I think we're probably ready to entertain a motion to go into executive session
On the first item.
on item, okay, so whoever makes the motion, make it to go into executive session on item 1.
Commissioner, may I
Oh, I'm
please address
sorry.
you first?
Ms. Harrison has something to say.
Thank you. This is Stacy Harrison. I understand that one of your executive sessions may be about the questionnaire that we asked you to fill out when we were at the meeting last time. And Ms. Alarcon sent me an email to that effect. At the meeting on November 17th, the commissioners agreed to fill out the questionnaire and provide it to the department as well as to council by November 24th. And I understand you may be receiving legal advice about that. I would urge the commissioners to fill out the questionnaire. It's very simple. It follows the guidelines of the Attorney General's handbook. Whatever your decision is, I would appreciate if it would be made public after the decision is made. In other words, if you're going to fill it out or not, and when we can expect to receive it.
Okay,
Thank
great.
you.
Mr. Manning?
Sorry, Mike Manning on behalf of TP Racing. Again, Councilor Ron can't get up here and simply tell the truth. That questionnaire absolutely does not follow the Attorney General's guideline. It changes definitions markedly. So it's a litigation tactic that I hope the Commission gets legal counsel about before you respond. And moreover, neither Counsel for Ron or me should stand here and question you about anything. Your litigants in a case against Ron, we shouldn't be interrogating the chair or any of the commissioners today about your position with respect to the questionnaire or anything else.
All right, thank you.
I move that we go into executive session on item 1.
C1.
C1.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it. Commissioner Gray.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to go into executive session on item C1. Vicki?
Will there be a public session after these executive sessions, do you know, or can you say? If not, attorneys ought to shut off the meter and get out of here.
I have no idea until after we get advice from our counsel.
I'm sorry.
Sorry about that.
No, that's all right.
I was asking.
We're going to go back into public session.
The only thing on the agenda is the executive session, so we're going to move into executive session 3 times, and then what needs to be said in public session afterwards.
Okay, well, I was thinking about the answer to Ms. Harrison's question. And we won't know until we go into executive session.
Can that be conveyed by Camilla to the respective attorneys instead of holding everybody up?
Yeah.
By the way, I'll fill out the question.
So we can withdraw?
Sure.
Yes.
Has it been properly moved?
No, well, it was moved, we just didn't do a vote because it was
Okay.
interrupted.
Okay.
So we need to take a vote on moving into executive session for item C1. Mr. Heupel,
Yes.
Mr. Feldmeyer,
Here?
Mr. Lawless,
Yes.
Mr. Garay,
Yes.
and Mr. McClintock.
Yes.
5 ayes, motion passes.
Okay, we're going into executive session of 11:45 a.m.
We are going back into open session, a special meeting of the Arizona Racing Commission, Thursday, December 10th, 2015. Time now is 12:01 p.m. And we are located at 1110 West Washington, Suite 250.
I move that we instruct Camilla to proceed along the lines we instructed her to in executive session.
I'll second Commissioner Garay.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that Camila proceed along the lines she was instructed to during executive session. Vicki?
Mr. Heupel?
Absent.
Oh, that's right, he dropped. Mr. Feldmeyer?
Yes.
Mr. Lawless?
Yes.
Mr. Garay?
Yes.
Mr. McClintock?
Yes.
4 ayes, 1 absent, motion passes.
Okay, I move we go back into executive session to discuss agenda item C2.
Sorry about that. I gotta shut it down.
I'll second Commissioner Garay.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we go back into executive session to discuss item C2. Okay, Vicki?
Yes.
Call the roll.
Mr. Feldmeyer?
Yes.
Mr. Lawless?
Yes.
Mr. Garay?
Yes.
Mr. McClintock?
Yes.
4 ayes, 1 absent, motion passes.
Going into third open session of the Arizona special meeting of the Arizona Racing Commission, Thursday, December 10th, 2015, at 1110 West Washington, Suite 250. Current time is 12:18. Going back into open session of a special meeting of the Arizona Racing Commission. Today is Thursday, December 10th, 2015, at 1110 West Washington, Suite 250. Current time is 12:27 p.m.
I move we adjourn.
I second that. Commissioner Garay.
Been moved and seconded.
Mr. Lawless?
Aye.
Mr. Garay?
Yes.
And Mr. McClintock?
Aye. Meeting adjourned.
Adjourned at 12:28 p.m. Yes, done. Yes, done. Yes, done. Yes, done. Yes, done.